If you've been falsely accused of domestic violence and have a criminal case against you or restraining order, along with a child custody case, then you've been hit with a silver bullet. I'm glad you're watching this. The same thing happened to me. I'm Father X, and today I'll share 14 tips on how to overcome these false criminal charges. I'll even show you what I learned are the weaknesses of DV prosecutors, as well as their playbook. In the prior episode, 9A, I discussed my story and gave you examples of how I overcame the false criminal charges against me. In this episode, 9B, I'll give you 14 additional tips to help you overcome and manage false allegations of domestic violence. Let's get to it. Number 1, go to a couples counselor with your wife. Before any courts get involved in your life, if you're a father enduring domestic violence, I recommend seeing a couples counselor with your wife. There's a stereotype that men avoid psychologists while women don't. I don't know if it's true. Either way, if you're a father being physically or verbally assaulted at home, attend therapy with your wife. The therapist may or may not fix her violence or anger issues. If yes, great. If not, it's still valuable. In therapy, have the mother discuss her violent acts. Later, if criminal allegations or child custody issues come up, you'd have a psychologist as a neutral witness. That person can provide a credible evidence to undermine the court's assumption that mothers are always victims and fathers are aggressors. I didn't realize this extra benefit when I went to couples therapy. So for you, plan ahead and go to therapy so you have a witness. Number 2, document your injuries. Again, before any courts get involved in your life, if you're a victim of your wife's domestic violence, see a doctor to document your injuries in your medical records. Tell them the injuries resulted from your wife's assault. Don't cover it up or blame it on something else. On the last day I lived together with my son's mother, I ended up with bruised ribs and a sprained wrist. Instead of letting them heal on their own, I saw a doctor and had 2 months of physical therapy. Why? Seeking medical help proves the injuries are real. If you stay at home and let them heal naturally, your injuries could have been real, or they could have been imaginary. Don't leave doubt. Go to the doctor every time it happens. Number 3, collect all possible evidence. For your criminal case, gather all evidence, including texts, emails, social media posts, witnesses, video or audio recordings, or anything that proves your whereabouts or interactions during the alleged incidents. You saw in my episode 9A, I didn't have foolproof evidence like video footage showing my innocence on the night of the alleged assault. Instead, I had detailed stories about the history of her violence against me, supported by evidence like medical records and police reports. None of that prior evidence proved I was innocent the night of the alleged assault, but my story was true, so it made sense to an uninformed prosecutor. If you're innocent, you can tell a story that hangs together, supported by breadcrumbs of evidence that tie it all together. If she claims you assaulted her in the past, show loving text messages or injury-free photos around those times. Find those breadcrumbs of evidence to create reasonable doubt. Number 4, end personal interactions with her. If she made false allegations once, she can do it again. If you're in her presence, she can lie to the police again. So avoid being near her. If it's necessary to be next to her, like during child pickups, do video recordings of every encounter as allowed by your state law. It's your job to protect yourself from new false claims. Number 5, know the weaknesses of lawyers. With false criminal charges, the prosecutor is now your enemy, and you have to know your enemy. You can act friendly and show them you're the good guy, but know your enemy. Early on, I recognized the weaknesses of family lawyers and domestic violence prosecutors. For your criminal case, you'll have a criminal lawyer, who I think are generally more talented than family lawyers and DV prosecutors. Watch my episode 3B on the weaknesses of family lawyers to know your enemy. These include little knowledge, even less intelligence, little depth of analysis, laziness, reliance on cliches and marketing slogans, focus on making clever but untrue statements, lying in court, lack of character and integrity, lack of accountability, good public speaking, but little intelligent thought. I also learned prosecutors want to maintain a high win percentage because they don't have time to take every case to trial. They move forward on cases they know they can win. They might drop the charges if you show pre-trial that you're innocent or have a strong chance of being acquitted due to reasonable doubt. So create that reasonable doubt early on. In addition, in episode 3B, I discussed that to win a case, you must have knowledge of both the law and facts. Prosecutors have knowledge of the law and procedures, but they're missing the most important part: knowledge of the actual facts of the case. And that's the part you have. This is your advantage. Learn the law and combine it with your knowledge of the facts to demonstrate your innocence to the prosecutor. A district attorney might try to sound authoritative and intimidating, but without actual knowledge of the facts, like you have, they're just another uninformed person. Their words are worthless. Recognize that and get the upper hand. Before I continue, please like, subscribe, and share. Also, if you find this information helpful, please support this channel. Donate on my YouTube channel's About page using PayPal or Venmo. Number 6, talk a lot. If truth is on your side and you're a good communicator. I beat the false allegations by dumping reality onto the district attorney. Lawyers might tell you to keep quiet or answer briefly because they worry you might say something wrong and convince the prosecutor you're guilty. But because I knew exactly what happened in our home, I spoke with authority. I didn't have to make things up because the facts were on my side. If you're in a similar spot, speak the truth. If you're in a gray area, like a situation that might be mutual domestic violence, tread carefully. Another reason to talk a lot is because if you don't, then the conversation will be dominated by uninformed and gender-biased judges and lawyers, and that'll always end badly for you. Number 7, expect district attorneys to be secretive about the alleged victim's statements. If you go to trial, you'll get her false police report. But earlier, for my queen for the day, I didn't have the report. I recommend you tell the DA, obviously, my wife told you a story, but I was there, so I would know what parts are true or false. Tell me her exact claims so we can resolve this openly instead of being vague. Basically, you're creating a standard of character and integrity for the district attorney to live up to, so you can solve this problem together. Number 8, mothers want child support, not dads in jail. My criminal lawyer used to be a prosecutor and told me many moms falsely allege domestic violence to gain custody, but they also want child support. If dad is in jail, he can't pay child support. So moms urge the DA to drop the criminal charges. It's ridiculous, but mom might want you out of jail and paying child support. So you may have leverage to get the charges dismissed completely. Beware, the district attorney might portray a certain range of outcomes. I'll show you in a few moments how this range is deceitful because there are more options this prosecutor may be hiding from you. For example, the range can be from 0 to 10. 10 involves trial where you risk being found guilty, or you can be acquitted. 0 represents dismissing the charges. To save her time and avoid trial, the DA may offer you a settlement in the middle range. Settlement options might include: you plead guilty to a lower charge. You accept an adjournment in contemplation of dismissal, where the charges are dismissed after 6 to 12 months if you stay out of trouble. Or you take an anger management class and the charges are dismissed. With that said, tip number 9, beware the ramifications of a guilty plea deal. You might be offered a settlement. The DA might say, if you just accept this guilty plea or ACD or take an anger management class, it'll make everything easier. That's a lie. It'll only be easier for the DA and family court because they won't have to go through trial, but they got you to declare yourself guilty of something, and then your real nightmare begins. Later, in the custody trial, the mother, lawyers, and judge will all constantly bring up how you need anger management class or you pleaded guilty to a misdemeanor or felony, and the judge will use any of that against you in the custody case to make you an alternate weekend dad or force you to have only supervised visits. Pleading guilty will crush your custody case. Don't fall for this trap. You can stand your ground by saying, I don't have anger issues and I won't plead guilty when I'm innocent. Dismiss the charges or we'll go to trial. Of course, assess your ability to overcome the criminal charges if you take this stance. I told you it was deceitful if the prosecutor presented the options as ranging from 0 to 10. There are more options. I created the range from -10 to 0, where we turn this whole criminal case on its head. I kept insisting on the outcome where the mother is arrested for filing a false police report and assaulting me. If the range of options is 0 to 10, you might settle for an outcome in the range of 5. But if the range is -10 to +10, you might settle at 0, and the DA dismisses the charges entirely, like what happened to me. Number 10, attack the district attorney's excuses. After the false criminal charges against me were dropped, I gave the detective a package of documents to show the mother lied in her police report. I wanted to press charges and have her arrested. The police told me it was up to the district attorney. Then I spoke to the DA, who told me it was a decision for the police. They both ran away like cowards from any responsibility. When the mother lied and claimed to be a victim, they all ran to help immediately. When I reported I was a victim because she lied in her police report, everybody ran away like cowards. You should expect they'll do the same, but try anyway. Just because I failed doesn't mean that you will. If you want the mother arrested for lying in a police report, be ready for the dumb excuses that district attorneys will give you. I didn't know these and couldn't refute them at the time. From my experience and research, here's a list of dumb excuses to counteract. 1. We don't have time to prosecute all cases of false police reports. Okay, but I'm not asking you to prosecute all of them, just one of them. 2. If we press charges against her, it'll just look like you're out for revenge. That's a silly excuse, because the justice system revolves around victims having the perpetrator arrested, and prosecutors don't call it revenge, they call it justice. So arresting her is justice, not revenge. 3. Bad things happen to people. Something bad just happened to you. It doesn't mean somebody should get arrested. Well, yeah, it does. A crime was committed against me, so do your job and have that person arrested. 4. If we arrest her, then real female victims of domestic violence would be scared of coming forward. This excuse doesn't hold up. False police reports range from obviously lying to honest mistake, assuming that's even possible. You can prosecute blatant lies. Where you can't fully prove she's lying, you can prosecute some. That policy is far better than prosecuting none at all. Not prosecuting any false charges means the DA is actively enabling fake victims to have their husband falsely arrested. 5. It's all he said, she said, so we don't prosecute this. That's a lie because it's not all he said, she said. Many times, there's substantial evidence of an intentional false report, and they still don't prosecute. They often don't even investigate. 6. This is a family court matter. Resolve it there. Obviously, that's a lie because I was falsely charged in criminal court, and the mother lying in a police report is a crime. So don't hide from responsibility by passing the buck to family court. I've given you the standard playbook many district attorneys use for excuses as to why they don't arrest mothers for false police reports. Use their playbook against them. Also, if a DA is using these dumb excuses, it probably means they're actively enabling mothers to file false police reports by not creating a consequence for false charges. Make sure the DA knows you're aware they're doing this. Number 11, bench trial versus jury trial. In a bench trial, the judge decides your fate, whereas in a jury trial, 6 to 12 jurors decide. The common advice is that you should always avoid a bench trial. The math works out better because it's easier for one judge to find you guilty than for 11 jurors to find you guilty. With 11 jurors, you only have to convince one of them you're not guilty. Also, we know judges in our court systems are too often bigots who assume the mother must be the victim and the father must be the aggressor. I believe a jury would be objective and far less gender biased than a judge. Number 12, you don't need a criminal trial to prove she's a liar. My initial plan was to have a full criminal trial to prove the mother lied about being a victim of DV. I was going to use that against her in the custody trial to show she was manipulating the legal system. But the criminal charges were dropped, and that was a better outcome. You don't need a criminal trial to prove she's a liar. The child custody and family offense cases can be a forum to expose her as a liar. There's no need to risk a criminal conviction if you can expose her in the civil cases. Number 13. Preponderance of the evidence versus beyond a reasonable doubt. In criminal cases, jurors need 100% certainty beyond a reasonable doubt. In civil cases, like child custody and restraining order cases, 51% certainty is enough to prove domestic violence by a preponderance of the evidence. But strategically, in your civil cases, aim to prove your case beyond a reasonable doubt. Why? Preponderance of the evidence isn't enough. Family courts favor mothers and are gender biased against dads. If you prove there's a 51% chance you're innocent, you run the risk that the judge will be biased and just rubber stamp the mother anyway. Decisions are subjective and the judge has discretion. Eliminate the judge's discretion by trying to prove your case beyond a reasonable doubt. Handcuff your judge's ability to be biased. Number 14. Use her false accusations against her in the custody case. If the mother makes false criminal allegations or civil allegations, it should be counted against her in the custody decisions. Some key best interest factors are the ability to co-parent, fostering the child's relationship with the other parent, and lying or manipulating the court process. Her false allegations indicate she's not good at these factors and is unfit to be the primary custodial parent. Many judges actively hide from this and just give the mother custody anyway. Emphasize her false allegations in your testimony and that such behavior goes against your child's best interests. Your job is to prevent the judge from ignoring this fact and rubber stamping the mother. These might be the darkest days of your life. They were for me. I'm making these educational videos to help you navigate this nightmare. If you subscribe, you can get updates when I post more videos. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing with your friends who are in a similar situation. If you like, subscribe, and share, it'll help get this message out to more fathers. Please support this channel so I can make more videos. You can donate via my YouTube channel's About page using PayPal or Venmo.